I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more times.
There's 5 blokes outside my front door. Can you come and help
One
me?
hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.
This is Umar Ahmed for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. It's the start of Boxers Fight Week for Shields Marshall. We're on a boat. Whose idea was this?
Not mine, but it went well. It was a big risk because it always could have rained. Open workouts on the Thames is not a good idea, but it was incredible. Sights, everything is setting up for an incredible week, and to get all the fighters on today and for it to go off like it had, unbelievable.
Yeah, the forecast did have it scheduled to rain, but we actually got a bit of sunshine in the end, so it all went well.
Yeah, 100%. I think when it's a big fight week. We've only Brook and Taylor Cattrall, and when you get into Monday, Tuesday, you feel there's something going on. You feel like there's something special, and this one certainly feels like that. We sold it in over 100 countries. We sold over 12,500 tickets for this already. It will be a complete sellout in the O2, and it was a risk. Doing the first women's night was always going to be a risk. It's a lot easier to put it on a pay-per-view, to put it with a men's world title fight, chief support and things like that, and we just we took a risk for the sport, we feel, and I think it's going to pay off.
You were right in the centre between Savannah's team and Clarissa's team. Just now there was an exchange on the top of the boat. What happened?
I think Savannah didn't bring a belt, but I don't think she feels the need to bring a belt. Obviously, it was much ado about nothing. Clarissa is her usual fiery self. It's been like that for the past 2 weeks. It's been tense. There's been a lot of conversations about different things, from officials to ring walks and all the rest of it. It feels tense. There's a lot on the line for both of them. Like, people don't realise there's not that many big rivalries in their sport. There's not that many big fights, and this is the big one. This is the one that no one can afford to lose, and you can feel it. I can feel it. I think I can see it in both camps that this is just a huge fight, and both of them deep down know, although they're confident, that anything can happen, and it's making for a very, very, very special event.
Ben, should there be some controversy, or be it a close fight, a great fight, is there potential for a rematch?
There always is in these big fights. There always is. I think the difference with this one is that, as I say, I think it's the first big women's rivalry in boxing. I genuinely believe that. 2012 was the first time women were allowed in the Olympics, women's boxing. Clarissa won gold that year. Savannah won gold in the World Championships that year. Savannah beat Clarissa that year. And here we are 10 years later, seeing the growth as a sport, seeing superstars come and go, but never a serious rivalry like this in a division like this. There's a lot riding on September the 10th. Whatever happens, I'm sure the loser is not going to be happy. But I do think that it's going to take a lot of coming back from whoever loses this fight. And I mean that respectfully, in the sense that there isn't anyone on their level in their division. There isn't anyone. And this is everything. And that's why it's taken a long time to make, and that's why things needed to be perfect for both of them. And we're now here, and it's like goosebumps, really. This is when I first sat down with Savannah, when I was speaking to Peter Fiore and Mick Hennessy about signing her. This was always the fight that we wanted to build towards, but it wasn't big enough then, in the sense Savannah wasn't headlining. She hadn't developed completely. She hadn't got used to being a superstar, essentially. So what should develop over the past 12 months, and for it to now be here and headlining the O2 and have this much interest, it is crazy. It is crazy. It's the biggest story of my career. Obviously, it's short so far, and it's a big week for both girls.
Do you think by Saturday night we'll have a sellout?
100%. It's only the cheapest tickets now. It's literally £25 tickets, the upper tier. But all I would say is, this is going to be a spectacle like we've never seen before. Maya Baumgartner could headline any show. It's a ridiculous fight. It's a ridiculous rivalry. It's another rivalry when there aren't too many in women's boxing. I would encourage anyone that is in and around London to be at that, because it might not happen again. I really believe it's historic. I know how much work is going into it from ESPN, from Sky Sports, from broadcasters all around the world. It's huge. We've never had a media accreditation list like this, ever. Even for the fights that I mentioned, for the Brooks, for the Taylors, for the Eubanks. This has gone to the level of interest in this, given that it's an all-women's event and that it's being able to stand on its own 2 feet, and it'd been a lot easier to go down another route. It's incredible. Honestly, it's incredible. I'm just happy to be part of it, to be honest. I don't think it's a statement for women's boxing. I genuinely just think it's a statement for boxing in terms of how far it's come, that we could actually even attempt to do an all-women's night and being able to sell it. So, it's going to be a good week.
Tune into Sky Sports this Saturday night. Just a point as well in terms of broader situation in boxing. You've got, of course, it's your show, Boxer's Show. You've got top-ranked fighters involved in this, and also a matchroom fighter in the chief support. And I know when you came in the sport, you said you want to work with everyone. You've shown that with Joyce Parker on September 24th with Queensberry and Frank Warren. You've got, as I said, matchroom and top rank involved in this. So, yeah, good for boxing that we're seeing promoters starting to work together.
I think we have to. I think since we came into the sport, I think all the promoters are upping their game, because there's now a third. It was always the Warrens and the Hearns, and there wasn't too much, and there was never 3 broadcasters really going for it. We've worked with different promoters. We tried to put on the best fights we possibly can. We tried to put on big shows, not on pay-per-view. We tried to work with Top Rank, and with, as you said, even on this card alone, Hennessy, Salita, Matchroom, Top Rank. I think it is good, and you're seeing it now with the AJ Fury offers. You're seeing it now. I think we're all forced as promoters. We're under pressure to perform, and we're under pressure to deliver fights, and that's what the sport always needed. And I said at the start, it could either go one way or it could go the other. And I think it's gone the other, where fights are just getting made now. And I'm glad to be part of that. I know we're not responsible for everything, but we're glad to be part of that because we're encouraging it. And I think now promoters are being singled out if they don't make fights.
Can I just get your reaction to George Warren, Frank Warren's son, speaking to Eddie Hearn in the last couple of days about potentially making Fury Joshua? You said promoters need to work together. It was a bit of a strange thing hearing that a Warren had been on the phone to a Hearn, but yeah, your reaction to that?
Great. Another great thing is that fighters that now lose have opportunities automatically. I was with Dillian last week. He can't wait to get back in the ring. He can't wait to fight again. Isn't that what we always wanted? Fighters just jumping in fights, win or lose. If they give a good account of themselves or whatever, they're big names, they can come again. The heavyweight division is now in that position where 50-50 should just be taken all over the place, from Parker Joyce, even the level slightly below Hunter Fury and obviously Fury White. We've seen this year Joshua Usyk. Now White's going to get another opportunity straight away, and AJ is, and Chisora's still going, and Chisora's a master of it. But I think it's great that promoters are having to work together, but it's also great that fighters are getting opportunities and now seeing a loss as not the end of their career. And I think for so long in boxing there's been so much paranoia and so much protection that I genuinely think maybe this is a time where things just start to happen.
If you had your last pound on it, does it happen though this year?
No. If you said my last pound, I hope it does. It'd be unbelievable. I think it should. It'd be great. I think things should keep moving. But listen, if everyone's sensible, it will happen. Whether timings can work out for both parties, I don't know.
Okay. Has there been any further discussions with Dillian White since the weekend where you saw him about potentially doing a deal with Boxer and working together? Has there been?
A little bit. I think he wants to make a decision this week. At the end of the day, he's at the stage of his career, and we always said it, if you're at the end of your career, or towards, not the end, but if you're an established athlete, at that point, you're just going to want the most money you possibly can. And you can't blame that. And although, I do feel like if we were close, if we were even within a percentage, he would want to be on Sky because of the extra benefits that come with that. And we do know him, and there's a level of trust there, I think, now. But at the end of the day, you can't stand in the way of him if he's going to be offered silly money, and he needs to take it, and that's for the rest of his life. And he's worked very hard to be in that position, Dillian. He's come through a lot, and he'll choose what's best for him, and we'll see. And we had a good week. He's a Liverpool fan, I think. Now we were in the away end together. It was fun, but I think he'll decide whatever is best for him, as he should. And it's good that he's, after what happened in April, he's so upbeat, and he just can't wait to get back in the ring.
Lastly, I know you spoke to Coogan after the card on Saturday on the channel about some of the matchmaking, particularly about Liam Smith's fight and Fraser Clark's fight. We saw the brutal honesty from Fraser Clark on the Sky interview after his fight. Can you just sort of address some of the matchmaking on that card, and specifically with Fraser Clark, how he's going to be matched moving forward?
I'll be honest, and I've had time to reflect now. Look, our trajectory has been so fast. We now, I think, put more shows on British soil than any other TV promoter, and we're signing a lot of fighters, and things are moving very quickly. And that was the hardest night, I'll be honest, that I've had as a promoter. You can take you talk about the criticism, but if you're going to take the credit, then you need to take the criticism, and that's just part of the game. And I used to be a fan, and I'd be in the similar position saying, what the hell was that? I am that, and I don't want people to think that. And we've always tried to be honest. Like, as a promoter, we do care. Like, honestly, there was no one more gutted than myself and the team. It was highlighted before. There were a lot of reasons involved. It wasn't dealt with, and it happened. And ultimately, that's my responsibility. And we know that has to improve. It was not a good night for myself in the sense, and the whole business and Sky, because we had amazing stories with Tasha Jonas. That was a special moment for us, and Dan Aziz as well, after what he's come through, and everything was about the Fraser's opponent and then what happened in the main event. And it won't happen again. We'll look into that. We are boxing fans. I was gutted by this whole thing, and but when you have a bad night, just as in football. And it was, you want to get back out there, and what a way to get back out there and have this week. And as I say, when you're putting on that many British shows, when you've grown that fast, when you have that big a stable now, I think it was a combination of all those things. And it wasn't an easy night for ourselves.
How do you ensure that doesn't happen again, though, moving forward?
I think it comes down to, look, it was all caused by late dropouts, and there has to be quality control, and there has to be replacements available. So there has to be first replacement, second replacement, third replacement, or a decision to just pull it off the card. And there was that conversation. It didn't happen. And I think it comes down to being more forthright, making sure those things are in place, because we don't want to see that. We want to grow the sport. That's why we're doing Saturday night. That's why we've done so many fights that could have been on pay-per-view, not on pay-per-view. We feel like we're giving more value than anyone else not on pay-per-view right now. And that isn't what we want. And we can put in things that make it happen again. It was highlighted before. There's a load of reasons. People will never know what happened and why it led to that and this and that. But all I can say is, it was a tough moment, because we put in that much and we took a lot of credit for a lot of time. And that was and Bournemouth was a few weeks before, and it was the opposite end of the spectrum. And then suddenly it was like back down. So it's good in the sense that complacency, things like that. I think, going forward, taking it on board. And I'm not a promoter to try and say, oh, what about this, or what about that, or this is that. And now I've calmed down, I'm a fan as well, and I don't want that to happen.
Thank you for your time, Ben. Tune in to Sky Sports this Saturday night for a huge card.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, I put my dad in the street against a heavyweight.
I've gone back to the dad. I've punched him a few more
There's 5
times.
blokes outside my front door. You coming in?
One hell of a fucking story, so stay tuned.